Welcome to the BBC News at 10. Our top headlines: Wildfire leave France for most difficult situation since the Second World War. As massive wildfires hit Europe, in France, Spain, as 300,000 people are injured. We'll have this on that. And another heatwave is set to hit this for UK in the fourth month of summer. That's tomorrow, also tonight, at Birmingham. Expenses plans to so healthcare. We'll be speaking to a political auditor, Laura Kreuzberg and Chris Mason, and also we're going to hear Laura Kreuzberg sat down with the parents about his plans for social care also tonight. Also on the programme, the table is to remain in jail for at least 2 more weeks. A rapist escapes custody on CCTV. We will have latest of reaction from the Commonwealth Games. We'll also have the weather tonight with Sarah Keith Lucas. Welcome to the BBC News at 10. I'm Keegan Dobby. Our top headline: massive wildfires have hit Europe. France and Spain have seen deadly and strong wildfires go across the capital. It's been reported that 300,000 people have been injured tonight. The French president says he warns tomorrow will be the most complicated as fire clouds loom and the threat remains. Fire in France and Spain have forced the evacuation of more than 360,000 people. Also, France face the most difficult fire situation since World War II. Yeah, Wildfire see France in the most difficult situation since World War II. We will be live in Spain and speak to Lucy Gemma, Lucy Jones. I'll speak to Marcus Mohammed in France, but this report now from the French capital. Here is Marcus Mohammed report on the France situation tonight. Go. Go.
Wildfires are continuing to spread across parts of France and Spain and firefighters are racing to contain them before temperatures rise again later this week. More than 100...
Let's start with those. Start with those wildfires ripping through parts of France and Spain. More than 300,000 people have been evacuated so far, and the fear is that the situation is likely to get worse in the next few days. Firefighters in France say they are still not in control of an unprecedented blaze that is just 15 kilometres away from the city of Bordeaux. More than 2,500 firefighters are trying to contain that blaze. Another heatwave is expected later in the week. The French President Emmanuel Macron has been holding an emergency cabinet meeting earlier today. In Spain, more than 120,000 acres of land have been consumed by the fires near the capital, Madrid. That makes it the biggest forest fire in the country's recent history. The Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, has been visiting the eastern city of Valencia, where 15,000 people have been evacuated. Here's our reporter, James Waterhouse.
West of Madrid, this advancing wall of flame and heat is now the worst wildfire in the region's history. There is no shortage of dry vegetation for it to consume, thanks to successive heat waves after a wet winter, and human efforts to contain it almost appear futile against the scale of what they're facing. Today, partly thanks to the weather, the situation has improved, say officials. The pace of the fires has slowed, so too in Valencia. But the wildfires, described here as a monster, are still very much active, and the government says the next 2 days will be crucial on whether the flames can be brought under control before weather conditions worsen. It's certainly what Ricardo Pozzo is hoping for.
I've never seen a fire this intense before, and not one so close to where I live. I've seen major fires, but on television. What we have here is unbelievable.
Presumably why Pedro Sanchez, Spain's Prime Minister, came to see for himself. Over the border, the French President Emmanuel Macron has been holding a crisis meeting with senior aides. He's promised to repair the damage caused by the fires that could take months to be put out. In the southwestern Gironde region, less wind and a small bit of rain means the fires have slowed 9 miles south of Bordeaux. Not that local mayor, Philippe de Gonville, is getting carried away. The respite is only temporary, he argues. Weather conditions over the coming hours are unfavourable, so the fire could flare up again. For 5 days now, these wildfires have devastated a record surface area of France. Almost 250,000 people have now been evacuated. Only a tiny fraction have been able to return to their homes. Whether they're inhabitable or not is another question.
Thursday evening, it turned into like a war zone. There were people everywhere, traffic jams everywhere.
Make breakthroughs. Make your mark. Make the future. KPMG. Make the difference.
Well, the village of La Porte is... to...
And Amelia is still with us. Amelia, I gather that President Macron's just turned up in Bordeaux.
Yes, President Macron arrived an hour or so ago. He was there to meet emergency workers in Bordeaux, and they told him that climate change had really changed their job. They're used to fighting wildfires in the summer, but this is something that's altogether different. He asked them what they needed. They said they wanted more helicopters, they wanted more air power, and an international coordination effort is underway to that effect. Luckily, in the past 24 hours, there's been a little bit of rain and humidity, which has helped, but there are real concerns because this week another heat wave is about to descend. It could be, or it will be, hotter than 37 degrees with no rain until Saturday, and that could make conditions here really, really challenging.
Amelia, thank you very much indeed. In what used to be the village of Le Porge in the southwest of France. Now, as the intense wildfires continue to rage in Spain and France, several in England, Wales and Scotland in recent days and weeks have also taken place, and all eyes are on what the weather is going to do here in the coming days. Well, our weather presenter, Liam Dutton, joins me now. Liam, what is in store for us?
Well, Matt, what Western Europe really needs at the moment is a combination of cool air and rainfall, and it will see neither of those this week. Why? Well, another major heat wave is imminent. We can see exactly what's going on here. It's a familiar sight, a big area of high pressure, again extending across the continent, bringing day after day of sunshine, rising temperatures and a lack of rainfall. And on top of that, by the middle of the week, southern and western parts of Europe will be very hot, temperatures widely in the mid to high 30s, and some places passing 40 degrees, which is exactly what you don't want to hear when you're fighting wildfires.
So how will that, patch of deep orange and red affect us here?
Well, the UK is on the periphery of that heat wave, but it will graze into southern and eastern parts of England for the middle part of the week. So you can see here on Wednesday, East Anglia and South East England will reach the low to mid 30s, but it's brief. It's only for a day. So by the end of the week here, that hot air will be confined to Europe and will be a much cooler and fresher air.
And how does climate change scientifically affect this heat wave?
Well, climate change makes heat waves more intense, more frequent and longer lasting in the UK, Europe and around the world, and that creates the environments in which these wildfires can thrive and spread more easily.
Liam, thanks very much indeed. Well, as global temperatures increase, climate scientists have become increasingly concerned about recent policy changes by governments across the world. As heat waves and wildfires spread across Europe, is the world going backwards in the political fight against climate change? According to analysts, the past 12 months have seen global leaders make a raft of decisions in favour of fossil fuels, like the EU, which watered down plans to ban the sale of new petrol and diesel vehicles by 2035, meaning that only 90% would now have to be electric.
Let's go to Spain and speak to our reporter, Mr. Mohammed. Mohammed, let's go here, Mr. Mohammed. What's there to say? Well, good evening here, Kik, and welcome to Spain. 5 days. I started about 5 days ago when this whole scenario began here in Spain, where firefighters have been here, like you said, a total of between 300,000 and 360,000 people have been injured, died, and have to be evacuated from homes. Firefighters have been struggling, and like we've been saying, like with his percentage, people, scientists, another heat wave, the fourth heat wave is starting tomorrow, and this will not have the case here in Spain as people cannot be in their homes, the smoke is getting high, there won't be enough, there's been there's been 2 showers, but that's not enough to put this massive blaze out here in Spain. But people across the capital don't know what the situation will be like and what will happen here next, but I can tell you more soon. Okay. We will also be speaking with more of Mr. Mohammed and Lucy, but later on in the program we'll have more on that episode next night. And Burnham. But before we move on, we're just going to get a look at the weather. I know it's a bit early. We will come back to Burnham to want to have a little bit of a weather forecast. So tonight will become overcast across northern areas with spell of heavy rain more in the morning. From the west, clear skies in the far south and southeast, cloudy with some spells of light rain. Elsewhere, tomorrow, it will start off very cloudy for most of us and a wet across for north, but rain will clear northeast in the afternoon, followed by scattered heavy showers. Very variable cloud and sunshine elsewhere warnings. Outlook for Wednesday through to Friday. Wednesday will be the hottest and most sunniest in the south. Further north will be band of cloud along with showers and rain pushing southeast. Turning sunny for most on Thursday, but heavy showers will be forecast for Thursday. England in the far north for a time very warm in the southeast. Friday looks to be sunny and very warm in the south, showers active across the north.
Hello there. Over the weekend and on Monday, temperatures did dip a little bit, certainly in northern and western areas where we had some welcome rain. Now, for the rest of this week, we'll have a north-south divide. Northern areas will see weather fronts with outbreaks of rain and a bit of sunshine. England and Wales, though, yet another heat wave, the fourth heat wave of the season for some of us. High pressure dominates the scene over the near continent, low pressure to the northwest. So Tuesday morning starts off quite wet across Scotland, Northern Ireland. That rain pushing into the Northern Isles. That'll be followed by sunny spells, scattered showers. The bulk of England and Wales, away from northern and western areas, will see plenty of sunshine and it'll turn warm, mid-high 20s. You could see 30 degrees in the warmest spots, a little bit fresher further north. Through Tuesday night, we hold on to weather fronts and low pressure across Scotland, Northern Ireland. Some more cloud here, more breeze, outbreaks of rain, some heavy. England and Wales, mostly dry with clear skies. A warm, muggy night to come. No lower than 17 or 18 in a few spots in the southeast. Wednesday looks like it's going to be the peak of this next hot spell for England and Wales. Lots of sunshine here. Further north, outbreaks of rain again, a few thundery showers across southern Scotland, the far north of England. High teens, low 20s here. High 20s widely for England and Wales, with a few spots seeing the low to mid 30s. Thereafter, temperatures come down a little bit. It stays warm, dry and sunny for England and Wales. Further showers across Scotland and Northern Ireland.
We'll have more with Sarah with a bit later. Right, back to our main stories. Next night, Andy Burnham. Next, Vicky Paris, Andy Burnham had another TV interview with our political correspondent Laura Kunzberg. As he outlines his plans for his goals, his future, more to do with social care, because he announced last week he's been talking about social care in his press conference speeches and statements to ministers, media colleagues and people around the world about social care and what he could do. We will listen to a bit of the interview that Laura Kunzberg had with Mr. Burnham in a few minutes, but this 3-minute report from our political editor, Chris Mason, has this report.
Your springboard to power was being a very popular mayor here in Manchester, but now you represent all of us in the UK and all of us around the world at a time of huge turmoil. The UK's biggest ally is Donald Trump. How was your first call with him?
It was a good call. It was a warm call. Lasted for 15 minutes or so. It was, it got us off to a good start. And obviously, it's a relationship that you take extremely seriously. I need to, build a way of working with the president that works for him, but works for us too. And I'll always be clear about where I think Britain's interest lies. I'm not going to go into this and not be clear about that. But I think it's always important. I'm somebody who tries to work with people, make that connection with people. I think we made an initial connection, and obviously we'll see where we go from here.
Do you think that you can trust Donald Trump?
Well, I've had one phone call, and I always treat people as I find them, and it was a good exchange. It was, as I said before, it was a warm exchange. So I am that kind of politician. I always will judge people as I find them. I've lived my whole life by that, and I will continue to live my life by that. Sometimes, you get an impression of somebody from media. I will judge as I find, and I found him to be really warm on Monday. But obviously, we will continue to build a relationship as we go forward.
But as things stand, you're not sure. So you'll feel your way. You're not sure at this stage that you can place your trust in him as a fellow leader.
It's a changing world, isn't it? And you just have to obviously call things as they develop. And I can't at any point say that I won't take a different opinion from him, that I will need to voice a different opinion that is right for Britain, and I will do that.
So you'd be willing to call Donald Trump out if you think that's the right thing?
Of course. I mean, you've got to go into this. All leaders have to do that. You have to defend your own national interest before anything else. That's what you're required to do if you're to do this job properly. I will always put Britain's interest first.
And when you look at government spending, the cost of sickness and disability benefits for working age people is now almost as much as the defence budget. Are there people claiming benefits who, in your view, don't need them?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily go straight to blaming those people, because, I mean, that is kind of implicit in what you are saying. What I would say is that there are people in the benefit system, young people in their 20s, who have been, I would say, quite seriously let down because the support wasn't there for them when it should have been there.
And that may be the cause. And I'm not suggesting you blame anyone, but the outcome for many people watching this is that they believe there are lots of people who are claiming benefits who don't necessarily need them. They could be making other choices. So I suppose my specific question to you is, do you think there are people in this country who claim benefits who don't need them, who could be making other choices for themselves?
Well, I'm certain, to answer your question, I am certain that there are people out there who, with the right support, can go into work. But I stress that point, the right support. They often don't get given the right support.
Does your plan for welfare, though, currently include reducing benefits from anyone who currently receives them, or removing them from anyone who currently receives them? Because there'll be some people watching this who thinks there are too many people on benefits who play the system. There'll be other people watching who might feel really anxious that benefits they rely on will be taken away from them.
It's about changing the nature of the support and making some of the support conditional upon people taking opportunities that are presented.
So you might increase the conditions required to receive benefits.
Has given guarantees of opportunities for young people, and I think we need to continue down that approach. The thing I'm just pushing back on is this idea that we go to a kind of crude approach, crude cuts to benefits to get the welfare bill down. Often that just pushes people into even more crisis and then even more public spending in another part of the system.
You have this week doled out quite a lot of things that you hope people will like. People may well like them, capping bus fares, also promising to cut taxes on pubs and take VAT off electricity. But the country's problems and the country's debts are massive. There's defence we've discussed. You want finally to fix social care. We know you care passionately about that. Will you commit to creating a new social care system before the next election?
I will go as quickly as I can on the reform
That's not the same.
of social care. Well, it's not, because a whole new system, which is what you asked, takes time. I think there are major changes you can make before the next election. People have long stays in hospital, which never should have happened in the first place, and then they end up fit to go home but unable to be discharged because the social care isn't there. This costs the NHS billions of pounds, and we will never get the NHS back to good waiting time standards until we fix social care.
And that's the point, though, isn't it? This is something, actually, in interviews, you and I have discussed this for 20 years.
Yeah.
There have been proposals on the table, very similar proposals being put on the table time after time after time after time. This is about political will, is it not?
Yes.
And it's about being willing to put money
Yes.
onto it.
Yes.
So you don't.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Social care system in England, that he wouldn't want to leave office without bringing in substantial change. Andy Burnham will give a speech on the care system on Wednesday and says he wants reforms to be supported by cross-party talks. How social care is funded has been a difficult issue for successive governments. In all, some 22 reviews have been commissioned looking into the issue, but have resulted in no definitive solution. On average in England, it costs between £58,000 and £73,000 for a residential care home place per year. The King's Fund says 1 in 7 of us aged 65 and over will pay over £100,000 per year. Across all 4 nations, there are different levels at which you start paying for social care, but there is no price cap regarding how much you pay. Henry Zeffman reports.
Andy Burnham has promised to spend political capital, in other words, to risk unpopularity, in order to fix social care in England. In his BBC Panorama interview, the Prime Minister made clear how serious he believes the stakes are.
If we don't do it, the NHS will collapse under the weight of trying to care for people who've really not really needed to end up in the NHS system.
And speaking in Portsmouth today, he said he wants all parties to come together to solve this once and for all.
We've all failed on this issue over decades, and the pressure now on the National Health Service as a result of that failure is huge. So, no one has got the moral high ground here. We've all got to work hard to try and find a solution.
This is a nut the Prime Minister has been trying to crack since he was Health Secretary more than 15 years ago.
People pay more the more vulnerable they are, and that is not a system that I will stand up and defend.
Successive Prime Ministers, and there have been a lot, have come up with their own ideas in the years since.
Change absolutely must tackle the long-standing and damaging divide between health and social care.
We are offering a long-term solution for the sustainability of social care.
We will fix the crisis in social care once and for all.
The challenge is absolutely right. We have to fix social care.
There are different issues with care that politicians have tried and failed to fix. Perhaps the biggest is about cost.
We only support those with the very highest needs and of the lowest means. Everyone else has to fund their social care themselves, and that leaves lots of people without the care they need, or many families struggling and, for example, giving up jobs in order to care for family members.
Opposition parties have said they're open to cross-party talks, but with conditions.
We can't just simply say we will, see increases in taxes when they're already very high. And secondly, we have to make sure that we protect those people who have done the right thing throughout their lives and have saved for later on in life.
And the fact we might not solve it at our first attempt, or second or
Let's get more on this about Andy Burnham with our political editor Chris Mason, and Chris is live in Westminster. Good evening to you, Chris. Tell us more. Yes, well, good evening, Keegan. As you heard in that interview, Laura Kuesberg sat down with the Prime Minister Burnham to discuss. He talked like we suspected. He had his first phone call with the US President Donald Trump. He said that lasted 15 minutes. Like, he was talking because his plan, he's trying to help the NHS cope, save lives. He's talked a lot about social care. We understand that from his point of view. People get that from his side of the area and what he is trying to solve himself, but people, of course, didn't realise that situation. Because Theresa May, Boris Johnson, and Rishi Sunak all had their opinions and their views on social care, but I think, that's the case, I also had his views, but I think Burnham's views are a lot different too. Fair Prime Minister, I've just read out to you what he is planning to do next. It's a long road for the Burnham to sort his social care out. We all know that he will be in the House of Commons on Wednesday delivering a speech to his party and his MPs on social care, so we might get a big picture and bigger idea come Wednesday when he makes a speech. Okay, Chris, we will speak to a political editor, Laura Kuesberg, right now. Laura, talk to me. Laura, good evening. In your own opinion, how did that interview go with Mr. Andy Burnham, Prime Minister? Well, good evening to you, Keegan. I think the interview that I did with him yesterday as well, it lasted 14 minutes and 43 seconds. We talked about different topics, like Chris said there. He talked about his first phone call with Donald Trump. It lasted 15 minutes. They were discussing, and he talked about an important relationship and friendship that he wants to try and build and create with Donald Trump himself. I think the fact is that he wants him and Donald Trump to get along while when as Prime Minister and as soon as he's in office. In considering situations, talk to me more about the social care side of things than Laura. Which is just brought that up because the social care part, I've had many interviews, like I said, with Andy Burnham. We said that in the interview we did yesterday. He's always wanted to do something with social care, help people, help save lives, help make sure and feel that the NHS is safe and it's not overpowering, it's not having issues in hospitals but in the country. And that's his plan going forward, and I think many people will want to see where he goes with this social care situation. And like Christopher Warner wants when he delivers a speech to his party and to the MPs and Commons about social care. Okay, well, good luck. Looks like the Tate brothers have been up in court today. It was here pleading for the Tate brothers. They to be set as the UK case continues in court for the Tate brothers.
His face hidden, but today a brief eye. Controversial social media influencers Andrew and Tristan Tate are gearing up to fight extradition here to the United Kingdom. Earlier this month, British prosecutors charged the brothers with dozens of new sexual abuse charges, including rape and human trafficking. The brothers say they're innocent and that these accusations are politically motivated. Today, their attorneys are meeting with federal prosecutors in Miami, hoping to work out a schedule for what could be a months-long extradition battle. Joining me is Patrick Reevell, who's been covering the controversial Tate brothers for years. Patrick, what are you watching for in today's hearing?
Hey James, yeah, I mean obviously this hearing being closely watched, but basically it's a procedural hearing where they're going to be discussing with federal prosecutors about key dates essentially in this process, which could go on for weeks. That means things like setting a date for a potential bond hearing, setting key filing dates. As you say, the Tate brothers deny all the allegations. They say they're politically motivated. There's no reason really to expect them to appear in court today. They don't have to, and they've suggested that they won't. At the moment, they remain in this detention centre across the street from the hearing. Today, Andrew Tate has posted on X thanking his supporters, but this process could go on for at least a couple of months.
They faced a lot of legal challenges. What's different about this one?
Yeah, obviously this is not the first legal case that the Tate brothers have faced. I do think that the difference here is firstly that US authorities have arrested them, and secondly that there is now a real prospect that they might face trial here in the UK. You'll remember they spent months, 2 years under house arrest and in prison in Romania. That case is largely stalled, but the thing that's important to understand about these cases is that they are all linked really to this period when the Tate brothers were running these erotic webcam studios and the alleged abuse of women that were working for them. So here in the UK there are also 4 other women pursuing a civil case against them on similar allegations from the same period. And like in the criminal case, some of the allegations include that these women allege that they were strangled without consent and then raped by the Tate brothers. Now, the Tate brothers have obviously denied these charges. They say the women are lying. They say this is a political case. But we will now see this extradition process go forward and whether there will be a decision to send them or whether they will face trial here in the UK.
And a big moment that the Trump administration doesn't look like they're getting in the way of that extradition.
At the moment, the White House has said they will not intervene in this.
Patrick, thank you very much.
Solitary confinement is not good. It's bad. Look, nobody likes being in the shoe.
Not that late tonight. 10 past 9.
David. Solitary confinement is not good. It's bad. Look, nobody likes being in the shoe. You have limited access. Right now, we're speaking to them. They're still behind plexiglass, and it's a very unfortunate situation. You got to think about the allegations. The allegations that they've been accused of are some of the worst allegations in the world, and in particular, those types of allegations, SA allegations, sexual assault, and anytime you involve a child, let me tell you right now, that doesn't play well for anyone politically in jail. So it's got nothing to do with their ability to defend themselves or this or that. It's got to do with the fact that they put a target on their back for them to get stabbed, jumped, murdered, whatever it is in jail, because that is how jail politics and that is how jail gangs, how the jail economy works. There's a pecking order in jail. It's very real. And when you come in with those allegations, there's no excuses. It's your paperwork says this, therefore, you're up for murder. You're fair game. You're fair game. And every time the public says, Andrew and Tristan are just like Epstein, well, guess what? The public is green-lighting for them to get murdered in jail. These allegations against them are the worst for a multitude of reasons. It's one of the reasons why they're in solitary. We hope to get them out. Look, the people over here in the system, the guards at the jail, they've been great. They've been fair to us. I've been in jails and places all around the world, and we've been treated honorably here. They have to carry out their mission. They have to carry out their instructions, their orders, their duty. But that doesn't take away from the fact that every time somebody walks by their cell, they get called something, a word that starts with a P that's more appropriate to Epstein and not appropriate to them. And because of that, they have a target on their back that's very, very real. People can say,
His face hidden, but today a brief...
Next night, a funeral director, Robert Bosch, faced family of victims as he sentenced on 67 charges. The funeral director, Robert Bosch, told reporters he was sorry on Monday as he appeared in court to be sentenced on some 67 charges, including prevention of 30 people. The sentence will last until Friday because of the number of victims impacted. The statement that needs to be heard. The family impacted by a 47-year-old were appealed by the party, given he has new offender than any explanation for not proving that their love was with the surface he promised. This is the story for you.
I'm sorry from Robert Bush.
I'm sorry, yes.
Sorry.
As per the court, I've written to the court.
He said he'd written an apology to the families via the court, where he was described as someone who breached trust on an industrial scale. Tears and gasps in the public gallery as details emerged of what police found back in March 2024, after a former colleague of Bush raised the alarm. It was described as a horror scene. Bodies left uncovered and decomposing, one naked on a stretcher on the ground. A brown paper bag containing what officers initially thought was a baby bird, before realizing it was a human fetus. Flowers, jewelry and cards swept across the floor at the side of the room.
No dignity in death for the young or old. No respect for those who'd passed away or their families.
Robert, just send come with us, that's all right, please.
Arrested when he flew back from holiday, Bush claimed the business was in financial trouble, the backlog of bodies caused by what he called cash flow problems, which meant he couldn't run all of the fridges properly.
I'm arresting you for the current time on suspicion of preventing the lawful and decent burial of multiple dead bodies and fraud by false representation and fraud by abuse of position.
But the court heard today his bank accounts showed more than £3 million going in across a 7-year period, which didn't tally with his declared earnings to the tax office. Bush sat in the dock and listened as the families he deceived told their stories.
I haven't even got over my grandma dying yet, you know, we're sort of stuck, you know, in limbo.
4 months after Jessie Stockdale's funeral, her grandson was told he'd been given the wrong ashes, her body among those found by police.
It just comes to mind what kind of condition she was in. You know, she will have been severely decomposed, unrecognisable, like a bit of meat. And that's how we feel she's been treated, like a bit of meat, because almost feels like an abattoir.
There had been warning signs. When Tristan first viewed the body, the coffin looked like it had been used before.
Body fluids on the carpet, there was mould on the inside of the wood on the coffin, there was blood on the thrills of the coffin that we'd had to ask, you know, for him to change.
You're raising concerns about the condition of the coffin. What did he say to you?
He was really apologetic, and he did change it within a minute or so. I don't know what to say, it was so believable. Like, he had your hook, line and sinker. You know, he needed an Oscar. He was, yeah, he just seemed to care about everything, every little detail, and when it came to it, didn't care about any detail.
Like so many families here, they had to have a second funeral. The court hearing repeated stories today of shock, heartache and devastation caused by Robert Bush. His sentencing over the bodies, ashes, funeral plan fraud and theft from charities will last all week. He's now been remanded in custody and will be jailed on Friday. Peter Lane, 5 News, Hull.
Let's speak to Elsie Smith, who's in Hull for us tonight. Elsie, give us a brief. It's good if we're outside the court where first funeral director it's already up against 67 different charges. We understand that 30 people have been a victim to this director. Bush prevented the lawful and decent brutal of bodies. He also defrauded families who passed for services, news, returning for Ron ashes to grief. So some families got given for Ron ashes by this director Robert Bush, but now we all know he will be sentenced on Friday. I'll see for now, thank you. Next to the Commonwealth Games. On to day 4 after Commonwealth Games in Glasgow 2026. Adam Lamb's PT said if it makes sense after he again had to settle for a bronze at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Poor Adam PT had settled for bronze after finishing third in the 100 metres on Saturday for 3-time Olympian champion Ramsey Peter 31 was unable to keep up with the pace of Australia's Sam Williams, who took his second gold victory in for 50 metres. In addition, Ramsey Peter, who was tearful after 50 yesterday, was less emotional in the aftermath this time, but was again unsure why he was unable to finish best time. "I'm working way too hard," he told BBC. If those results were how much I am working, then they would be a lot better. I need to look like that. Because what we are saying is some rough scenes right now, and it's nothing suitable. I've come back from worse and we'll see where I go. Let's see the Commonwealth medal table. That's the medal table right now. So Australia top, they've got a total of 59. Got 26 gold, 13 silver, 20 bronze. We're in second, we've got 32, we've got 8 gold, 13 silver and 11 bronze, 32. Canada in third. 21, they've got 7 gold medals, 8 silver, 6 bronze. India, they're in 8th. 5 in total. They got 3 bronze, no silver, 2 bronze. And bottom, Papua New Guinea have only picked up 1. They got no gold, no silver, 1 bronze. And 19th, only 1 for that country, and that was a bronze. So that is the medal table of the Commonwealth Games for you. India gold medal in Glasgow.
Wide open.
A thriller in Glasgow crowd in full around this gold. Scotland pick up a gold, so host pick up another gold at the games. Take a look at this at the games for you.
That he's going to do a double twisting Kasamatsu vault, which is a 5.2 degree of difficulty. My goodness me! That is enormous! Oh yes! Just to put that into context, 5.2 degree of difficulty, that vault. This is going to be very healthy for Ruben Ward.
The execution of this is really good as well. Legs together, in the air, slight bending, but it's not a big issue, nor is that step. This is all in the difficulty.
Brilliant. 14.05 for Ruben Ward. He's gambling with the higher difficulty has paid off, and he has close to a mark advantage at the top of the leaderboard. Ruben Ward of Scotland has handled the pressure beautifully. Now
To the parallel bars he goes, enjoying close to a 1-mark advantage over the chasing pack, with a third of the competition remaining.
He's capable of really good work here. Already through his first elements. The Makut's is really good. The Healy out, well controlled. Diamondov is gorgeous. And the Stutz, so far, so very good.
The Scottish champion has just one more piece to go. The home straight beckons for the home hero. They're really starting to sense history in the making. Ruben Ward needs only 11.9 to go into the gold medal position, but he'll hope for much more than that. Brilliant so far. Come on, Ruben Ward.
The big test will be the release skill. He goes for a Liukin. Marvelous in its difficulty. Beautiful in his execution of it. He's not going over on the in-bar Stalder. Almost nothing can stop him now.
Oh, power of Scotland! Ruben Ward. No Scottish gymnast has ever won this event at the Commonwealth Games, and he performed superbly. Ruben Ward is into the gold medal position, 12.7, so he's not completely in the clear. We now go to Felix Dulcie. He is trailing by quite some margin. He's got... After 2 rotations, Ruben Ward could not be more nervous. Felix Dulcie could not be more delighted. Who's got it? Who has got it? Oh my goodness, Dulcie's won the silver medal! By 2/10, Ruben Ward is the first Scottish gymnast ever to become the Commonwealth Games all-around champion.
I think I'm in shock right now. I knew I could do it, and I knew going to sleep last night this is a possibility, and going throughout the comp I was hitting my routines, and I knew I could do this. I just need to keep my head, and I mean, to make history is something that it's always something I wanted, but for it to be happening right now, it's just an emotion I can't describe. It's amazing.
So well done to the Scottish, and well done to Ruben, who made more of the home crowd advantage to land Scotland's first ever men's gymnast to be an all-round gold medalist on day 3 in Glasgow. What a man, what a person that is, and that is the latest from the Commonwealth Games for today, and by tomorrow for coverage of day 4 of the Commonwealth Games out of those nights. UK Wildfire across Spain and France. That's evacuations of 300,000 to 360,000 have been evacuated. It's the biggest significant thing since the Second World War.
Buy streamers on subscription for £24 a month. Not every moment is planned.
These are the worst wildfires this...
I didn't know that she
This is more unfair for wildfires across Europe.
These are the worst wildfires this country has ever seen. Spain has been burning for 4 days now. As flames tear through this landscape, fear spreads too. Through loudspeakers, residents are told to leave their homes immediately. Ricardo packed what he could and moved with his wife and 2 children to a nearby school. Is it just you in here?
Yeah, it's 8 people.
Right, okay. Have you been scared by the smoke and the flames?
Yes, a little bit. We're okay here, but we need to go. We need to get back to home.
8-year-old Dylan has a fever and just wants his own bed. He's one of 4 children sleeping in this classroom now. How did you feel when you brought your children here?
When we realised that it was serious, the kids were the ones who were most scared. But as a parent, you need to stay strong.
Almost 380,000 acres of land has been scorched across the provinces of Madrid, Toledo and Avila, where the separate fires that started last Thursday have now converged. Authorities here thought they'd contained this blaze in Avila over the weekend, but as plumes of smoke surge, it's clear it's spread again. Well, the only cloud in the sky here is that huge plume of smoke. That is gritty, dry, soot-filled air billowing west over Spain. And if we just look to my right, in the last few minutes, we've seen another fire starting. There was no smoke over there. That has intensified in the last few minutes. The problem is prolonged drought and successive heat waves has meant that this terrain has become a tinderbox, and that has been met with strong winds, meaning embers have been sporadically lighting fires across this countryside. Firefighters are trying to soak the soil before temperatures rise again. Today, Spain's Prime Minister met with teams north of Valencia and warned the country must be better prepared for climate change. The climate emergency, he says, this sustained and systemic rise in temperatures that we are seeing every year is causing the scale and severity of the fires we are currently experiencing to increase exponentially. This community is preparing as best it can. They don't know how long these fires will last, but what is clear is this shelter will need to be ready to take in more families tonight. Sangeet Talal, News at 10, Madrid.
Well, let's return to James in Bordeaux. The president was visiting officials fighting the fires there this evening. James, there have been concerns in the media the city itself could come under threat, forcing a major evacuation. Is that a realistic threat in your view?
I mean, it's less a threat than it was yesterday. I mean, let's be clear, this is not particularly pleasant being here, but it's not necessarily dangerous either. The threat of evacuating the city comes not because they think the wildfires are actually going to burn it down, but because of the sheer quantities of smoke in the air that will make it dangerous and toxic to breathe here. But none of this should underplay the seriousness of this. President Macron came down this evening to meet the people leading the effort here, and he described this, as you said earlier, as the most serious crisis facing France since the Second World War. That is a big claim, but then if you look at some of the figures, the worst year for wildfires that France has ever had was 4 years ago, 2022, when they lost 72,000 hectares to the fires. This year already, and it's still July, half the summer still to go, we're at 115,000 hectares. Already 50% more. That's how serious it is, and of course it's not going away. Forecasters say 38 degrees tomorrow, 40 degrees Celsius on Wednesday, and underneath all those smouldering embers that you saw in my report earlier, the fire is still there, waiting for a strong wind or for fresh vegetation, fresh fuel to reignite it again. It needs really heavy and sustained rain, but what chance of that?
Okay, James, thank you very much indeed. Well, the damage being done by the wildfires goes beyond climate change. Forest areas. These are long-term, drastic measures, but then these are pretty drastic times.
I'm the best man.
measures, but then these are pretty drastic times.
Now let's have a look at our usual picture across Europe and the UK. This is actually for tomorrow morning, but it could pretty much be any time in the last 6 weeks and the next 4 weeks, really. This is a very typical summer setup. You've got this dominating area of high pressure, which sits as a sort of lid across Europe that influences the UK as well. But as I say, it's exacerbated by climate change, and that means that everything is bigger. The heat is hotter, the sun is sunnier, the dry is drier. It's all happening, and that is exacerbated by climate change. Now, let's have a look at what's going on. We've got another plume of very hot air coming in from North Africa over the next few days, and if we run that, you can see that we've got those temperatures nudging towards 40 degrees, so an unbearably hot situation. And, of course, talking about those wildfires, well, how much of a difference can it make, really? Just if it's already boiling hot, a few degrees can't make any difference. Well, you'd be surprised. Let's have a look at what's going on. This is our fire risk map, and as you can see, if we layer on by the time we get to Wednesday, look at this, absolutely extraordinary. There is a notable increase in the risk of wildfires across Europe just by a few degrees difference, and that actually, Mary, is an unbelievably frightening situation.
Well, those areas hit by wildfires in Spain and France. Flight companies adapt.
Well, that's it for me and for the team. I'll be back at some point tomorrow with News 6. For myself, a whole day team. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye bye.